know that's a Sactown thing. Talking about us, it's a bounce out thing. Must they forgot we some Sacramento Kings. Whole squad going crazy, yeah, we back with it. Northern Cali going crazy, one sack winning. If you doubted us then, ain't no back spinning. This is real right here, ain't no catfishing. So tell me what you see now. Coming down the lane off the rebound. It's 9:16 now. Look towards the sky like the beam now. Tell them like the beam, like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam, like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now.
Let's go!
Tell them like the beam now. If you reppin' that Kings like the beam now. Sack crowd, make sure everyone knows. Let me tell you how this thing really goes. Yeah, we travel deep, whether we home or on the road, we lit. You don't want that smoke, we the team of the year. We shaking things over here, don't doubt, we believe over here. We don't bleed over here. And let me just speak real clear. Only deal with real kings, only deal with real kings, only deal with real kings over here. So tell me
What's up, Kings fans? We're about to get started here. Don't forget to smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know who your king of the game was in the chat.
Like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam, like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam now. If you reppin' that Kings like the beam now. Hop out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up, and we hop out. Talking about some things you was not about. Tell them we don't play like the lockout. Got me feeling like Yeezy on the dropout. Can't deal with no phonies. Flow like baloney. Ain't no game round here, homeboy. This ain't Sony. They said they gon' show me. They send me not on me. You don't know me. Tell the game what's up now. They hating from the bus now. Been doing this to T-Pain. Drop the up down. Oh, I'm on the hunt now. Tell me what you want now. Yeah, I do my dance when you see me in the touchdown. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out.
Yeah, when we pulling up, my nigga, let me know. And if the haters hate, we finna let him go. Pull up, pop out, two-step, hit the torpedo. When we do our thing, homie, don't let your shorty go. Everywhere we go, we do the stupid dance. I've been doing this, and Soldier Boy taught y'all the Superman. Always showing love, we play the stupid jams. Hit you with them shots and got the kind of aim that Cupid has. We ain't never scared, we don't play about it. Keep the party going, give a damn what they say about it. Gotta keep it simple, this for everybody. Ladies and the homies, it's a function, we don't care about it. Lapping in the whip, got the speakers going crazy. Black party lit, family geeking, getting waved. Grannies and the uncles to the nieces to the babe. We gon' get it cracking like a weekend.
Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out.
Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stands. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring. Yeah.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds, the Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans, by the fans. The Sacramento Kings beat the Houston Rockets tonight, 130-128, in an absolute thriller. Shout out to all my buddies here in the chat. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. And Calvin, that was a great game to watch. How are you doing?
It was a great game to watch if you don't like defense. A lot of highlight reel plays, man. A lot of highlight reel plays. I'm doing good. A little bit of a frustrating day tonight. Jeremiah, no, I'm not going to be prepared tonight because I got home at 7 p.m. East or Pacific time, so I was only able to watch the fourth quarter. And I agree with Sass. How the hell did the Kings win that game? I do not know. How did they win that game?
Yeah, pretty wild finish there. We'll definitely recap that. We'll go over all the players, the box scores. We'll talk about the NBA trade deadline, which is tomorrow, some trades that happened already, and maybe do a little bit of speculation about what the Kings do before the deadline is up. Light the effing beam, and then we'll talk about the two Mavericks games at home. The Kings do return home tonight, so they will see the beam probably from the plane. And then we have two games against the Mavericks and then a game on Tuesday against the Phoenix Suns before the Kings go on their nice little all-star break hiatus. We'll also talk about who is going to be an all-star replacement because Curry's out. Potentially Zion will miss the all-star game as well. So we'll definitely talk about that as well. But welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Shout out to all my Kings fans. Callum is here. Jeremiah. I can't even pronounce that name. I'm sorry. Marcus, Sass, Jim. Can you want to give that one a shot, Colin?
Takashi.
There you go. Alfie Man is here. Mike Monticello, 209 Tacos. Nicole is here. Fred Dixon. And shout out to everybody else for joining in. We appreciate you all. All right. So Kings win tonight, 130-128 in a high-scoring affair. Calvin, the Kings were down for most of this game, which was pretty incredible. I thought they started out aggressive. Sabonis was aggressive. I believe he had like 7 points in the first quarter of this game, was playing really, really well. He didn't pick up his first foul until halfway through the second quarter. And then he said, hold my beer. Let me pick up a bunch of fouls in the third and the fourth quarter. He was playing a lot of the fourth quarter with 5 fouls, and he was able to stay on the court. The Kings were able to get a win with a crazy, crazy ending. You want to talk about the ending first, or should we jump here into the box score?
Let's talk about the ending. That's the only part I saw. So,
shout out to Dylan here, Charles, Gilbert, and David. David, thank you so much for the super chat. Definitely going into the beer fund. All right, Calvin. Well, I guess I'll let you describe how that last 2 minutes or so went down.
One word: mayhem. Absolute mayhem.
Crazy stuff.
Just when you thought, I mean, each team had this game in their hands, in the last 5 minutes. And they just threw it back and forth to each other and said, no, you win. No, you win. No, you win. It was wild. I mean, give credit to guys that stepped up and made big plays and big moments. That charge that Keegan Murray took was huge. In real time, I thought that it was going to get overturned immediately. I was like, oh, that's a challenge. They're going to overturn it. It's 2 free throws. But it held up. The Kings actually, technically won 2 challenges in this game, if you include that one.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of won the first one.
Should have been
kind
another
of won the
challenge
first
with
one.
that ball off of Eric Gordon's fingertips.
I'm still surprised they didn't go to review that play.
Yeah.
I'm really, really
Who
surprised.
knows what the rules
especially
are
with
at this
both
point.
challenges being used up by the two teams. It feels like that's a play that you go to review. But I agree with you. I don't really know what the protocol is for those situations. The play right before that where the Kings missed, 17 layups in a row?
Yeah, it was a 12-2 Rockets run in the third quarter.
No. I'm talking about right at the end there when Malik Monk drives to the basket, misses the layup, Sabonis gets the rebound, misses what for him is a pretty good-looking shot, easy hook shot or whatever. Keegan gets the rebound. And the craziest part about, I was watching that at the end with Ethan in the living room, and I go, Sabonis even missed the wide open layup after the foul was, or the jump ball was called. Yeah. Like that was, I've never seen the Kings miss that many layups in a row before. And then, of course, Malik Monk, who gives up weak side rotation, gives up a wide open dunk to Jabari Smith just a couple plays before that. Yep. Redeems himself a little bit with the steal at the end. And Fox hits 3 big free throws. I'm still not convinced that was a foul on Fox either at the end. honestly. If I'm being completely honest. I don't know if that was a foul.
The body contact
Eric
on Eric Gordon.
I still didn't see the good enough angle. They kept showing it from behind. I didn't think that was a good enough angle to see it.
It looked like he bumped him a little bit at the
hip.
It
was very – and for Fox, I know he's trying to sell it, but take a real shot, man.
Yeah.
He just threw it at the backboard.
Rockets
I don't know what the hell that was.
Rockets bailed us out there.
Oh, man. It was Charles, I think that there was probably some contact there, but I'm not sold that it was a foul.
The funny thing for me is...
The Kings were owed one. I absolutely agree with that, but...
The funny thing for me is, like, all season long, we've heard Eric Gordon talk about how the young guys on the Houston Rockets don't play the right way, and that's why they don't win basketball games, and then he ends up being the reason they lose the game. Not that that's the only reason, because I don't like to put any loss on, like, one player, because they put themselves in a position to lose that game, but he fouled. If he hadn't fouled, they would have won the game. But, definitely an interesting fourth quarter, and just, like, last few minutes of the game, Jalen Green was just on absolute fire. That guy was making everything. Can we talk about the challenge by the Kings there? Because that was really, I mean, I get confused every game now, Calvin. I swear I don't know the rules anymore. Maybe somebody needs to get me a rule book for Christmas or for my birthday or something, and maybe that wouldn't even help. Because
it would probably only confuse you more.
Jalen Green clearly kicks his right foot out, right? Gets fouled by Harrison Barnes on that play, makes the three. They call it an and one. The Kings challenge the play. And let's not forget, before, I don't even remember how long ago it was, maybe 10 games or so, where the Kings challenge a play. The challenge was successful, but the basket still counted and blah, 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 all that stuff. So in this situation,
the phantom foul on Trey Lyles, they moved the foul from Chimezie Metu to Trey Lyles. So the challenge was successful, but we still lost.
In this game,
essentially,
he kicks the right foot out, makes contact with Harrison Barnes, makes the three. They call an and one. Mike Brown challenges the call. The challenge is successful. The foul is overturned, but then the three still counts, which is really, really weird to me. It just kind of reminds me of like one of those like NFL challenges where you're like, he didn't have a first down. They're like, that's not what he was challenging. They were challenging whether it was a catch or not. And it's like, that was a clear offensive foul to me. Like, he kicked his right leg out, trying to draw the contact, got it there. Like, the three shouldn't have counted.
Yeah, I'm with you. But again, it's like you said before, I think the rules, the challenge rules, which we've already talked about needing to be, revised for sure.
Charles says, is a kick out an offensive foul? It should be. I don't even know anymore.
I agree. I thought it was a no call. I agree with Charles, but I'm not even sure anymore. It's all, everything is so blurred. And I feel like the end of this game just made it even more confusing and more complicated to me. I actually thought De'Aaron Fox fouled Eric Gordon on that out of bounds play at the end.
Yeah. And actually, Calvin, that would have helped the Kings.
Yeah.
Because the Kings didn't have any fouls in the last 2 minutes.
That's true.
So then when they did intentionally foul,
it ended up working out better, right? In the long run. But you're right.
Oh,
shit,
right. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Oh, they got to inbound it again. And then my guy, Malik
and
Monk.
Tito hits it on the head here.
Just comes right in there.
I don't know his name, but the head official tonight, every time he walked up to the mic.
The guy with missing a hair up here?
He was so nervous.
Oh, yeah.
He was stuttering over every word.
The guy calling the 3-second calls.
You could just tell he was like, I don't want this game to be put on me right now. You guys need to stop fucking up. He was nervous as fuck. It was a very, very bizarre ending.
That guy was calling 3-second calls all game long. Like they were only on the Kings in the beginning of the game, multiple 3-second calls. Then they call a 3-second call on the Rockets, and then we don't hear anything for like 2 quarters, and then the fourth quarter we hear another 3-second call. So really, really weird. But yeah, there was a 12-2 run by the Houston Rockets. They were up 5.
Yes.
Then an amazing steal by De'Aaron Fox. He gets the bucket. Then the Rockets come right back down the floor. Keegan Murray takes the charge, cuts the lead to 3 with the Kings having possession. And then, the rest is history. What an incredible, incredible ending to that game. But, the De'Aaron Fox one over Eric Gordon was so wild because I thought it was a foul on De'Aaron Fox, too. I'm like, that's a foul. But then I'm like, okay, they're both going for the ball. And, They don't review it. Nothing.
They don't review it. I thought it was off of Gordon as well. Yeah, it was weird.
Just a
very weird.
Really, really strange ending of the game. But hey, it worked out. Kings win.
Bottom line, light the fucking beam.
Light the effing beam. I didn't get my...
Fire the laser!
Fire the laser. Oh man, what a great game by the Sacramento Kings. I mean, let's go over the box score, but real quick, something I did want to point out in the team stats. I know I'm jumping ahead of myself, but only 9 turnovers tonight. Wow, they actually corrected this. 9 turnovers tonight for the Sacramento Kings. Pretty wild. I thought they would have won by a lot more with only 9 turnovers because this team has been turning the ball over quite a lot lately. But hey, looking at the box score here, Domas Sabonis, 32 minutes of action, 22 points, 9 rebounds. I thought he should have got credit for a rebound at the end there, Calvin, in that maybe 2 rebounds in that play. But he did not get the double-double. But 5 assists for him tonight, a steal, a turnover, 5 personal fouls, 8 of 15 from the field. Did not make a 3-pointer tonight. Harrison Barnes, 33 minutes of action, 16 points, only 2 rebounds for him. This is kind of a storyline of the night. Not a lot of rebounds for the Sacramento Kings. Not a lot at all. Keegan Murray, 32 minutes of action, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 turnover, 4 of 9 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3-point range, Calvin. And Keegan actually sets the record for most threes by a Kings rookie in franchise history, which is absolutely huge. Another thing I didn't know, Calvin, Keegan Murray is 4th in the NBA in 3-point percentage. For players that have shot over it's such a random number. Players that have shot over 290
threes.
Yeah, 290 threes. There's only 3 players ahead of him. I believe it's Steph Curry is one, Lauri Markkanen is the other, and Buddy Hield is the other one. So
Lauri Markkanen's having such an incredible
pretty
season.
Wild. Yeah, but shout out to Keegan Murray. Hopefully he gets selected for the 3-point competition. We know he'll be there at the Rookie Stars game, but more experience for Keegan, so shout out to him. De'Aaron Fox, 38 minutes of action, 31 points, 5 rebounds, 11 assists, 2 steals, 3 turnovers, 11 of 23 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3-point range. But Calvin, 9 of 10, 90% from the free throw line for him tonight. Kevin Huerter, only 20 minutes of action tonight for Kevin Huerter. 7 points, 2 assists, a steal, a block, a turnover, 2 of 7 from the field, only 1 of 6 from 3-point range. No points tonight for Trey Lyles, only 2 rebounds for him in 16 minutes of action. 8 points for Chimezie Metu and 2 blocks for him. 9 points for Davion, 5 assists and a steal, only 1 turnover for him. 10 points for Terrence Davis. And my guy, Malik Monk, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. One steal being the most clutch
very
of
important.
The game.
Yes.
And then 2 turnovers for him tonight. Real quick, let's just rewind back to that last couple possessions there, that steal by Malik Monk. It was an interesting situation because I believe there was like 1.7, 1.5 or something left on the clock. Yeah. They inbound the ball. He steals it. He gets kind of tripped up there. You don't see him call a timeout. I think it's Mike Brown that calls the timeout from the sideline.
Thank God for Mike Brown.
Because we had 1 timeout left over. But they advanced the ball because he got a dribble in. But Mike Brown called the timeout right away. That's kind of a confusing situation. Yeah. Should the ball have been advanced at that point?
Again, I think the officials for this game, because of all the craziness that went on and all the different types of calls that they had to make, that maybe they fumbled that one a little bit. I don't know. But regardless, it worked.
Yeah.
The whistle did happen after the dribble. I agree with that. But the question is, when did Mike Brown signal for the timeout? So.
Dude, the foul on the 3 on De'Aaron Fox, I didn't even hear that whistle either. When I was watching in real time, I'm like, oh, great, we lost. And then I'm like, wait, they're all celebrating. I'm like, oh, we got a whistle? No way. No
I know.
way.
I know.
We got a
Payback.
whistle?
Payback's a bitch if you're Houston.
Crazy. Charlie says Kings are 5-0 in games where Huerter gets benched in the second half. Wow, Charlie. Wow. They're also, I believe, 31-0 when they score more points than the other team this year. So that's also a great statistic.
That is true.
As far as the Houston Rockets go, 41 points, big points by Jalen Green. And then one of your favorite guys, I always screw up his name, Schengen, whatever. Almost a triple-double for him tonight.
I've heard it pronounced like 10 different ways.
Kevin Porter Jr. did miss the game, still dealing with the foot injury, but great game by the Sacramento Kings. As far as the team stats go, the Kings shot 50% from the field as opposed to 54, almost 55% for the Houston Rockets, 33% for the Kings from three-point range as opposed to 45. That's the reason why Houston was in this game and ahead in the majority of this game. Kings shot 93% from the line as opposed to 85 for Houston. The Kings did get out-rebounded tonight, 31-44. Only 29 assists for the Kings tonight, 10 steals, 4 blocks, 9 turnovers as opposed to 19 for the Houston Rockets, including one at the very, very end there, which was costly for them. 64 points in the paint for the Kings as opposed to 70 for the Houston Rockets. But this was a pretty close game. The Houston Rockets were up, for the first almost 3 quarters of the game before the Kings finally took the lead. They were only up by 9, was the most they were up in this game. Kings were only up by 5, so it was a really back-and-forth game, although it didn't seem like it early. Calvin, anything that really stands out here to you?
Well, yeah, it was a close game pretty much the whole way through. Statistically speaking, the Kings got outplayed in most categories. I think you can point to 2 areas that really made up for it tonight for Sacramento. Number 1 is free throw shooting. 3 big free throws at the end, obviously, from De'Aaron Fox, 93% at the line as a team. And then my statistic that I brought up on Monday still stayed true. 22 fast break points tonight. Okay. The Kings are now 16-7 when they score over 16 fast break points. But more importantly for me, it's points off of turnovers. 19 points resulting in 27 points off those 19 turnovers resulting in 27 points for Sacramento. Okay. That's how they made up the difference from being killed on the offensive glass and killed in the paint tonight.
Yeah. You want to go over your keys to the game?
Yeah. I should have kept rebounding in there. I should just probably pin that number 1 for the rest of the season for Sacramento. It was not in there today.
Not a lot of rebounds for the Kings tonight.
No, not a lot of rebounds.
Not a lot at all.
But where are we here?
I can read them out for you.
Oh, I got it. Number 1 was get out and run. 22 fast break points. A lot of, alley-oop dunks, Monk to Fox, Fox to Monk.
Yep.
All of that stuff. That was good.
Rinse and repeat.
27. Yeah, rinse and repeat. Number 2 was keep the bench balling. Trey Lyles, really the only guy on the bench that didn't, have a major productive game tonight. All the other players kind of stepped up. I think 48 points.
He had a putback dunk at the buzzer from a missed 3. It didn't count.
Why not tip?
It was
I was screaming at the TV at that point. What are you doing grabbing the ball and dunking that?
Yeah.
Just tip it, man.
I like it. I saw a statistic on Twitter today from Will Z Stats talking about dunks. Apparently the Kings, I believe, are 10th in the NBA in dunks. I like it, dude. Yeah. Why not go for the dunk?
I like the play. But I think you got to have more awareness of the clock in that situation and go for a straight tip. But that's we're nitpicking there. The rest of the bench, Malik Monk again played a pretty good game overall. I thought Chimezie Metu gave him really good minutes. Davion had a really good third quarter, and then 10 points for Terrence Davis as well. 48 points tonight, I think, total for the bench. So that's 3 straight games they've been 48 points or above bench scoring. And then number 3 was points in the paint. Again, they just got annihilated. 70 points. They scored 68 themselves, but to give up 70 points in the paint, it's just the same old story with this team.
Everybody in the chat here wants to talk about the trade deadline. So
it's coming.
They don't even care tomorrow. That we won tonight.
No, Mike wants to talk about Kessler Edwards.
They're like, we won, light the beam, whatever, move on. Let's talk about trades.
Well, look, you're playing the worst team in the league. This was a nail biter, a game you should have won. Luckily, they get the win. Finish the road trip above 500. You can go back home now. Hopefully, you get into the trade deadline after a couple more wins. Mike, I'm talking about your Mavs, but
they're playing right now.
They're playing right now, and they're looking good.
Yeah.
They're looking real good without
Luka. That's probably why.
Yeah, maybe they should trade him.
I see you have the chain on.
I got the chain.
Who's your Kings chain player? I still haven't come up with a good word for this.
Defensive player of the game?
Yeah.
Chain?
Yeah. Chain game. Who's your chain game?
I really can't make a fair assessment tonight because, again, I only watched the fourth quarter. I think if you're going for the sentimental pick, Malik Monk with the game-saving steal is pretty easy to throw in there, even though he's 9 times out of 10, or maybe even 10 times out of 10, not deserving.
Mike said he's going to be at the game on Friday. Apparently he didn't sell his tickets.
Oh, nice.
He was pissed.
He's going to get to see a Mavs loss.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hopefully.
Love it. So it really is, I think, not fair for me to pick the defensive player of the game because I didn't watch the whole game. However, just seeing the total score and the way that defense was played throughout most of this game probably doesn't deserve to go to anybody.
Yeah. I definitely feel that. King of the game, you going with De'Aaron Fox, double.
Pretty easy to pick him. Game-winning free throws, big steal on Jalen Green at the end there.
In the fourth quarter, 14 points?
I thought it was 12, or with the 3 free throws, I think 13.
Yeah, either 13 or 15, because I don't know if it included that layup from him after the steal.
Yeah.
But great performance by De'Aaron Fox. Mister has a great point here. Sounds like a Rockets fan. The game was won by Houston Rockets. This is blatant money laundering, spelled incorrectly. And there was 0.0 seconds left, and judge calls foul. I did not see any judges there on the court. But Calvin, that brings up an interesting question for me. And I don't expect you to have the answer to this question because I have no idea. But what do you think, like, how quickly should a ref call a foul after something happens? Like, is there a time limit? Should there be a time limit? Like, let's say tonight I get your pain, and I apologize. You know, we've been on the reversing of that multiple times. But, like, let's say the buzzer goes off, blah, blah, blah. The players walk off the court, and then the referee calls a foul, and he's like, oh, foul. Give the free throws to the Sacramento Kings. Like, how much time should there be between a foul and when it's called?
I don't know if I have the answer to that question because we're talking about human beings. I mean, it should, in a perfect world, it should happen instantly, right? Like, but, you know, maybe you give, I don't know, a couple tenths of a second, and they, you know, they'll usually go back and put more time on it. I do agree with everybody else in the chat, not we'll just call him Mister. There was definitely time left on the clock when the shot went up.
Yeah.
So, or the foul was called. So I don't really know what you're looking at there. The replay does confirm that there was time left. You can question whether there was a foul period, but I don't think you can question whether there was time left.
And one thing I've learned, Mister, through my time of being a fan, it's not worth stressing about it, man. It's over. It's done with. Just move on. Yep. Move on. And, hey, I mean, like, just look at it realistically. Even if the Houston Rockets win this game, what does that do for your team, right? You guys got the worst record in the NBA. You're going to win the lottery. Like, what does one win do for you?
Rockets suck anyway.
Nothing.
There you go.
Nothing.
I mean, they should have won the game before that. It should never have come to that play.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
I'm also going to say we won 4 out of 4 games. So it's not like this was a random occurrence where the Kings stole a win from Houston. So I'll just put that there. Just put that there. Okay, Calvin. Anything else you want to talk about this game, or should we move on? Because we got some other stuff. Everyone wants to talk about trades.
I think we can move on. There's bigger fish to fry out there.
All right. So let's I guess we can go over some of these trades. So the deal that just happened probably 2 hours ago, the New York Knicks acquired Josh Hart from the Portland Trail Blazers. An interesting deal. The Blazers get Cam Reddish. Oh, man, I can never pronounce this guy's name. Ryan
Arcidiacono.
Arcidiacono. Didn't he play on the Bulls?
He did play for the Bulls.
That's probably why you know how to pronounce his name. Another guy
I knew his name since he was at Villanova.
And a 2023 first-round draft pick.
Another
interesting deal here. Can you pronounce that guy's name?
Mikhailuk?
Yeah.
Went to Kansas.
Okay. Are you like a name scientist or something?
No, I got Şengün's name wrong, as Brian pointed out. So
maybe Brian needs to be here. I am horrible with names. I really, really am. I blame it on English, the language, because I mean, it just teaches you that like things can be pronounced in different ways. And then you go to other countries and you sound like an idiot because you're trying to pronounce something. And they're like, it's pronounced like it sounds. And it's like, I don't know what it sounds like because in English, it sounds all different. Like it looks different and sounds. And I don't know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, interesting deal. Any thoughts on that? Does that help any team?
I think it helps the Knicks. I mean, Cam Reddish was basically, being wasted away on their bench. And Josh Hart is a very productive player, does a lot of things really well. That would have been somebody that I would have been happy if the Kings went out and got. Pretty solid wing defender, a good rebounder for his size, capable scorer, good, can shoot it from the outside. Hart's legit. So I think it helps the Knicks, definitely.
Blazers got a little bit younger with Cam Reddish. I'm so mixed on Cam Reddish because I really, really did like that guy coming out of college. I thought he was a great player with Duke, obviously with Zion and the other dude in the Knicks. I'm blanking on names right now, RJ Barrett. But he's had, I guess, issues with every team he's been on so far. Atlanta, the Knicks. I don't know what he really wants. So hopefully he finds that in Portland. But Portland is slowly getting younger, and they're still staying pretty competitive. So shout out to the Portland Trail Blazers. Next trade. Interesting, dude. This thing just went down.
This is a big one.
This is a big one, especially for Kings fans. The Los Angeles Lakers officially trade Russell Westbrook. Wow. They received D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, which is hilarious to me for a reason. I'll explain that in a second. Jared Vanderbilt. The Timberwolves get Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 3 second-round picks, 2024, 2025, and 2026. And the Utah Jazz get Russell Westbrook, Juan Toscano Anderson, Damian Jones, and I believe it's a top 4 protected 2027 first-round pick from the LA Lakers. I didn't even know the Lakers had a first-round pick to trade. I thought they still gave all those up to the Pelicans. But Calvin, interesting deal. D'Lo back to LA.
Yeah.
Westbrook apparently got in an altercation with Coach
at halftime.
Ham. Maybe that's how he got that bump on his head.
Perhaps.
At halftime. And historic night last night. We can't not talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations to LeBron James becoming number one all time. Did you see the video today of Anthony Davis?
Yeah, that's all anybody wants to talk about.
He's just sitting on the bench.
Pretty
was weird.
sad.
That was very weird.
It's a little strange,
very weird.
Let's just focus on LeBron and not Anthony Davis.
Very weird. The Lakers are I don't know what to think about the Lakers. But funny to me, Malik Beasley, do you know his ex-girlfriend?
I do know his ex-girlfriend.
Larissa Pippen?
Yes, used to be married to Scottie.
Yeah. You know her son?
No, I don't know.
Scottie Pippen Jr.
Oh, well, yeah. I thought you were going to say
also on the Lakers.
Else. He is also on the Lakers.
Interesting, right?
Yes.
I'm sure the Yo Mama jokes are going to be running wild in the locker room.
It's going to be interesting.
But what are your thoughts on the trade?
No, Charles, I don't really know her.
You know of her.
I know of her. It's a really interesting deal. I think the Lakers, for how, kind of fucked they were, for lack of a better word, after the Kyrie Irving deal, and losing out on that, losing out on trades earlier in the year, Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, all that stuff. They just weren't willing to give up the assets. This is probably about as good of a deal as they could have possibly gotten. They get rid of Russell Westbrook. They add D'Angelo Russell. I don't know what D'Angelo Russell on the Lakers, again, is really going to look like with this team. However, to me, it's more about the other guys.
Yeah, and he's a free agent.
Malik Beasley is a lights-out three-point shooter, a little streaky at times, but a really good three-point shooter. We've seen those guys work so perfectly with LeBron in the past. And Jared Vanderbilt is a capable defender that's good at switching and can guard multiple positions. I think that gives them a little added bonus as well. So they had to give up another first-round pick to get all these guys. But I also like the Mike Conley experiment in Minnesota. I think that could.
Why they
I don't
didn't
really
make the
know
deal.
why that'll or what that's going to look like, but I think D'Angelo Russell just wasn't necessarily a good fit after they went out and got Gobert.
He smoked us.
Oh yeah, but I mean the Kings don't play defense, so I'm talking about against real good defensive teams. Mike Conley's going to be good for all the other players on that team.
Mike Conley's like 45 years old already.
He can still shoot the three, and he can dish the ball to other guys. I mean, he's a lot like Chris Paul, and a better offensive option in terms of scoring right now than Chris Paul is.
Yeah.
The Jazz, Danny Ainge is a mad scientist. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
It makes sense for the Jazz.
I mean, yeah, they're unloading
You get a first-round
salary.
pick.
Yeah,
You have
absolutely.
salary cap space at the end of the year. That makes sense to me.
It's a very interesting deal for all three teams.
I don't understand the Timberwolves side. I get the Lakers side. I get the Jazz side. I don't understand what the Timberwolves
Well,
are
the
doing.
Timberwolves are another one of those teams that is in kind of desperation mode.
Yeah.
Right? Like Towns hasn't been healthy. It hasn't really worked, when all of them have been on the floor together. And D'Angelo Russell is a guy that's making a lot of money and has been very, very up and down for them. I think having a real true point guard for them, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, definitely an interesting deal. All right, moving on here to a deal that happened yesterday but was officially finalized today. It involves your Sacramento Kings. Kessler Edwards and some cash from the Brooklyn Nets for the rights to David. Dude, I'm horrible with these names. I'm just going to call him David M.
Oh, yeah, this is another. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get
This
that
was
one.
like a late pick. I believe the rights were acquired by Vlade or something like that in a trade. But the Kings have to clear a roster spot to make this happen. So they got rid of, what's his name? The dude they brought in on the 10-day.
Alfie, man, what's your question?
Who's the guy they had in the 10-day? I can't keep track of all these guys that come in and out. I remember Dozier, PJ Dozier. Then they brought in another guy last week.
The Kings?
Yeah, on the 10-day.
Oh, right here, Callum on the money, Deontay Burton.
Yeah. So they cut Burton to make room. So interesting deal there. I did a little bit of research on Kessler Edwards because I didn't really know much about him. He's a 6'8" small forward out of Pepperdine, which isn't our own Doug Christie from Pepperdine.
I believe he did go.
I believe he is. So maybe he's got some connections there. But this dude was drafted in the second round of the 2021 draft. And he's not averaging a lot this year. 1 point a game, 1 rebound a game. But Calvin, I was surprised to learn that this dude started 23 games last year for the Brooklyn Nets.
Well, last year the Brooklyn
wild.
Nets had more starting lineup combinations than any other team in basketball.
Yeah.
Because they were injury plagued. Kyrie Irving, the vaccine, all that stuff. They had a lot of guys that they had to throw in there.
Shout out to Jeff the Lefty, Double O, Matthew is here. I saw Sass, Mr. Angel, JN is here, Callum, Charlie, DJ. Wow, good to see you guys. Hopefully everyone's having a wonderful day. Parallax is here. I think I saw Alex was in here a little bit earlier. Apex Legends, Brian Thompson, Tito, Ivan. Wow. Good to see you guys. Don't forget to smash up that like button, guys. So what are your thoughts on this deal for the Kings, Cal? Because it kind of goes along the narrative we've been talking about, right? Where every year Monty take the Sabonis trade out of this, but every year he just kind of has like these little tinker moves that he does, right? He did it the same with bringing in, what was that guy's name? DeLon Wright. Did the same thing with just bringing in some of these smaller pieces. So give me your thoughts.
Man, I think there's a lot more questions to be answered or questions than answers after this deal, right? It's, is this guy going to stick on the team? Are there more moves to be made? He's one of those guys that it's just a really small sample size. I think there are things to like about him, but there's a ton more questions. And the biggest question of all is he even going to get to play? Like, I don't know where you fit him into the rotation. And Alpha Man, I do want to answer your question before you get upset at us again. Are the Jazz going to be up-and-comers in the Western Conference? Again, I think there's way more questions to be asked than answers about the Utah Jazz right now. Don't know what they're going to do the rest of the trade deadline. Don't know if they're buying or completely selling here at the end of the year. Are they still going to try to make the playoffs? I do know this. There's 3 players that they say they want to build around for the future. That's Markkanen, their first-round pick, number 14 this year.
Kessler Edwards,
and the dude from Kansas, another difficult name to pronounce.
Oh, don't ask me.
Those 3 guys we know are going to be pillars for the future for them. I think everybody else is a question mark at this point. I don't expect Utah to really make a whole lot of noise in terms of the playoff picture for the rest of this year either. So,
who is this guy?
It starts with an A. Ogbai, I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Oh, man. And Colin Sexton, right?
Great college player at Kansas.
Oh, Ochai?
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try that one. Interesting. And they still have Colin Sexton, too.
They do.
I'm a big Colin Sexton fan. So, wow, interesting deal. I don't really think the Utah Jazz care about winning this year. I really don't think they do. They know they're not going to win the championship. They know they're probably going to get bounced in the play-in or in the first round. So, like Calvin said, they're just acquiring assets right now. They got a first-round pick in this deal. They cleared some salary cap space. Yeah. I almost said salary space. Salary cap space. So they're in the middle of a rebuild. I would not be worried about the Utah Jazz. So no worries there. Couple other deals that happened here. February 7th, the Heat send Dwayne Dedmon, ex-Sacramento King, to the Spurs, and the Miami Heat get cash. Oh, also a 2028 second-round pick is included and sent to the San Antonio Spurs. Dedmon seems to get traded a lot.
Sure does.
A lot. He's balling in Atlanta, signs with Sacramento, gets traded back to Atlanta, gets traded to Miami. Miami trades him now to San Antonio. Poor Dwayne Dedmon. At least he's getting paid. Is this just a salary dump deal? Is Miami opening up a roster spot?
Dead weight, as Mr. Angel points out.
Dwayne
I like that.
Dwayne
Dead weight.
Is Miami just opening up a roster spot?
I have to think so. I mean, this is definitely not a move that's going to make or break them, right? And they're desperate to add more pieces to try to put together a serious playoff run. Kyle Lowry is the name that just keeps on popping up. Are the Clippers going to make a move for him? Is somebody else going to come out of nowhere and make a move for him? The Heat are definitely in the buyer's mentality right now, and why wouldn't you be if you're Miami?
And then we announced the last trade that happened a couple days ago. Kyrie Irving, Markieff Morris to the Dallas Mavericks for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a 2029 first-round pick, and 2 second-round picks. And they are playing right now. Wow. Looks like this game is a 3-point game now, Calvin. Mavs are up 79-76. Kyrie Irving's got 16 points in 25 minutes. Go Clippers, I guess. Interesting.
It's tough to root for either team in this game.
It really is. We got our first caller of the night, Calvin.
The Kings won, yeah. Oh, yeah, the Kings won, yeah. The Sacramento Kings, oh, yeah, the Kings won, yeah. Fox is so fast. Sabanas is so strong, yeah. Coach Mike is so smart, yeah. They are the playoff bound, yeah.
Island boys calling in. I love it. All right, Cal. Let's I guess now's the time before we talk about all-star replacements. Let's finish up the trade talk. I mean, the trade deadline, I believe, is tomorrow morning. Isn't it like 10 a.m. Pacific time or something like that? It's pretty early.
I thought it was like 3 p.m.
Maybe 3 p.m. Pacific Standard
something
Time. So
like
like
that.
Noon here for us. You think any other trades are going to happen? You think
3 p.m. Eastern time, Charles says.
Oh, Eastern time.
Yes.
So that would be
noon Pacific.
10 a.m. our time, which I was right, 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Dude, I have to do so much time calculations now. I should get better at it. I don't know why. But Hawaii Standard Time, it's always crazy. Anyways, any other trades you see happening? I mean, we knew Kyrie was going to get traded. We knew the Lakers were going to do something with Westbrook. The teams we had been looking at, another one was The Jazz, they made their move today with the Lakers.
They made a move.
Or a move. They could make more.
Yeah.
We heard that the Pistons don't want to move Bogdanovich, or at least that's what their stance is at the moment. We haven't seen Charlotte do a move yet.
Yep.
We haven't seen Chicago or Toronto make a move.
Nope.
But, a lot of these teams, they want to make deals, and their multi-team deals, they get a lot more complicated. They take a lot of time to develop. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of time left, Calvin. I'm sure, Woj is not going to be happy tonight. He's not sleeping. He's
definitely not.
All night long paying attention to this stuff. Do you see any other trades happening before the deadline?
That's a really good question. I mean, I'm kind of starting to feel the same way that, some of these other guys in the chat are in terms of Sacramento making another deal. I just don't really know what there is out there for them to do. They don't have a ton of really high valuable assets. They don't have draft picks to be able to give. I think it's going to be hard for them to pull off a meaningful deal. I'm still hoping for guys like Matisse Thybulle, Torrey Craig, Jay Crowder. I agree, Charles. I think they're gettable, but, negotiation is a tough thing. It's not dependent on one team. It's dependent on two. It's just hard to predict those sorts of things. I don't know what Philadelphia is asking for Thybulle. Korkmaz wants it out of there as well, so they got to work on that.
Kessler-Edwards deal has anything to do with that? Is it like a precursor, or is this?
You never know. I think it very well could be, but at the same time, it just might fizzle out, right? Like, I just go back to there's so many teams out there trying to make additions. Not many teams are trying to make subtractions or salary dump or do all of that stuff. Yeah. So there are definitely teams to watch, right? Like Toronto is a team to watch. Brooklyn is a team to watch, not from a seller standpoint, but from a buyer standpoint, because it's. I said all along I didn't think that they were trying to move KD. I thought they were trying to add to him to make another run here. And so they're out there trying to make additions as well. Phoenix is a team to watch. Jay Crowder's name just continues to come up over and over again. What, if anything, are they going to do at the deadline? But it's going to be very, very interesting to see. You might see a run of trades at the end here, or you might see very, very few. So I'm not really sure. And I've seen it a couple of times here in the chat. I think it's a very good point to bring up. The buyout market is something to keep an eye on if you're Sacramento.
Yep.
If, for example, Jay Crowder gets bought out because they don't end up making a deal for him, or, a variety of different players could end up on that list, it's definitely going to be something to watch for Sacramento.
Yeah, and I don't think the Kings are the only team feeling that way, which could be why we don't see a lot of deals happening, because a lot of teams feel like players are going to get bought out here, especially guys that are on the last year of their deal. Teams don't want to give up a lot for a guy like that, so they're just going to wait, see what happens in the buyout market, and add. And I think for the Kings, I think the main thing for them here is they're just not trying to mess up the chemistry of this team. So I think that they've been reluctant to – I mean, we've heard them involved in talks with multiple teams, as they should be. But I think Monty is really happy with the group they have here. Why not, dude? We should all be happy. We're the third seed in the Western Conference. So I think he's kind of holding back a little bit, wants to keep the chemistry intact and see what they can do this offseason to build off of this team. So definitely something to take a look at. You think the Bulls make any moves? Did they blow it up? Because it's kind of the same thing, right?
Really hard to tell.
Yeah.
All signs point to yes, right? I mean, from like the outside looking in.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. I mean, they're going to ask for a ton in return for Zach LaVine. If they were really going to blow it up, they would have to deal Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
Not necessarily first, but that would have to come, right? So if they don't get what they expect in return or ask for in return for LaVine, does it really make sense to trade everybody else? No, I don't think so. So they're really interesting. They might be the most interesting team out of anybody, maybe Toronto, but they might be the most interesting team out of anybody in terms of what direction do they decide to take going into the second half of the season.
And after a huge Rudy Gobert trade in the offseason, I think a lot of teams are like, wow, Minnesota really got smoked there. How do we prevent that from happening? I mean, just in the past 2 days, 3 days, we've seen 2 superstars, Kyrie Irving, get traded for a first-round pick, just one. And then we see Westbrook get traded today, only 1 first-round pick included. So pretty interesting to see the market kind of reset itself. Shout out to Skip, Sactown Breakdown, for listening via Twitter Spaces. Skip, if you want to come up on stage and speak, just let me know. All right, Calvin, let's talk about all-star replacements.
Real quick before that, Jim asked if we were going to do a trade deadline special. Jim, I do work during the day tomorrow, so if we did one, it wouldn't be until, like 7 p.m.-ish Pacific time. I think we'll kind of probably wait to see what happens, particularly with the Kings. Yeah, if something happens in Sacramento, we will definitely come on and do some sort of discussion, but it won't be until later in the day. So we'll make some posts on social media so you guys have an idea of what to expect. But
all right, so moving on here to the All-Star break. Couple guys that are interested potentially will miss some time here. First off, Steph Curry officially ruled out. So interesting there. Luka, as Mike says, is supposed to return on Friday, so we'll keep our eyes on that, what happens there. I'm also hearing that Zion Williamson could potentially be out for the All-Star break. If Luka's out, that's 3 starters for the West All-Stars, which is absolutely crazy. Any guys you look forward to take one of these spots? I heard Katie was pretty positive on the cast today about De'Aaron. And another question, if Curry's out and De'Aaron takes over, is he a starter in the All-Star game?
Well, there's potentially 2. The starting backcourt is out, right?
Yeah.
Like Luka and Steph. Look, I think if one guy is to miss the game, De'Aaron Fox has a pretty good chance of making it. If all 3 of these guys end up missing the game and Fox isn't an injury replacement, something is completely wrong. Yeah. Completely wrong.
Did you see his interview after the game where they asked him about it? He's like,
I didn't see that question asked. But
he's like, it'd be great. He's like, but I also have a newborn at home, so if I don't, I'm cool to go home and spend with my newborn. He's like, I win either way. He's like, but honestly, to me, if I don't make the All-Star team and we win a championship, I'll be happy as hell.
Oh, of course you would take that over the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think anybody would. A little far-fetched there, but I definitely hope. I wish we had a vote. I really wish that we had a vote at this point. But shout out to De'Aaron Fox. I think he will be an All-Star. I really, really think he will be an All-Star. Okay, Calvin, let's move on to Friday's game. And that game is at home. The Kings do return home after the longest road trip of the season, 7 games. And somehow they went 4-3 in that 7-game span, which is absolutely phenomenal for the Sacramento Kings. But they return home for 2 games against Dallas before heading to Phoenix for the last game before the All-Star break. Calvin, what are your thoughts on Friday's game against the new-look Dallas Mavericks and potentially the first look at the Luka and Kyrie combo?
Well, that's my thought exactly, is there's just so much uncertainty surrounding this game. Do they both play? If they do, what does it look like? I mean, the Mavs have been very consistent in terms of their style of play all season long because they have Luka and a bunch of nothing surrounding him. Christian Wood has been good for them in spots, but it's Luka all or nothing, right? If those 2 guys play together for the first time, it's like, first of all, what do you really expect? Or how much can you expect in one game? And does Mike is gluing himself to the floor. I would love to see that. But just, there's a lot of uncertainty going into this game. How do they play together? How does it look? It's the first game. There's a lot of question marks going on here. So it'll be exciting, that's for sure. But
ESPN currently has Luka Doncic listed as out for this game. And also Davis Bertans, four-finger Bertans, is listed as out as well for this game. So we'll see what happens. Kings have a 68% chance to win this game according to ESPN. So definitely.
Well, that means Maxi Kleber is
about
back,
that,
which is another big addition for the Mavericks.
Dallas is 3-2 in their last 5 games. same as the Sacramento Kings. Give me your keys to the game, Cal.
Well, these keys, again, are based on how Dallas has played all season long. So it could look a lot different on Friday, but number one, win the three-point battle. These two teams chuck it up from there a lot. Dallas is third in the NBA at just over 40 attempts per game. Sacramento is seventh in the NBA, just over 36 attempts per game. Both teams shoot it a little better than 36% from the field. So whichever team wins the three-point battle, probably going to go a long way to winning this game. Number two is own the paint. We just took on the Houston Rockets, who dominate inside, 57 points in the paint per game. They had 70 in today's game. Sacramento is 13th in the NBA at 51.7 points in the paint per game. The Mavs are dead last. Again, that could change with Luka and Kyrie on the floor, but they're dead last in points in the paint this season so far at 42 per game. And number three is play with pace. Sacramento loves to get up and down. They play much better when they do that. Dallas so far this season has been a very slow it down, grind it out, give the ball to Luka, ISO it, and let him eat up a lot of clock. The Kings are 9th in the NBA in pace. Dallas is 29th. The Kings are 8th in the NBA in fast break points. Dallas, again, dead last. So they need to speed up the pace of this game.
Yeah, Mr. Angel makes a great point here in the chat. These are back-to-back games. So one on Friday,
yes,
one on Saturday. Luka's returning from an injury. Kyrie is returning from whatever's wrong with him. So we could see both or neither of them on Saturday's game. Or maybe Luka doesn't play Friday, but he plays Saturday. Definitely something that's pretty interesting here. But the Kings have a great opportunity to go into the All-Star break on a pretty good win streak. 2-0 right now for the last two games. They just beat Houston. If they can capitalize against the Dallas Mavericks, then they got an interesting game against the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix is a whole nother deal. I don't want to get on too much of a tangent and start talking about Phoenix because they got a lot of smack to talk about the Phoenix Suns. But any other thoughts on Dallas?
I mean, just you really don't know what team is going to show up on the court, right? I mean, if Luka does play and Kyrie plays, it's going to be very interesting to see how that experiment goes for the first time. If Luka doesn't play, again, there's only one game that you have to base off of with Kyrie and the rest of them out there. And Charles, I agree. If Luka doesn't play, there will be less threes shot. But according to Basketball Reference, he averages 7.8 a game, not 25. So there's still
what?
Attempts, 3-point attempts per game. So they're still going to chuck it from three. That's what they do. But it's going to be a very, very interesting game. I think a lot of what you'll – I say 25. No, I know. I'm kidding with you. But I think a lot of how the Kings are going to – game plan for this two-game series is going to be based on Friday's game, right? You'll have a lot more relevant film to look at, and then the question is, if Luka doesn't play on Friday, does he play on Saturday? It's just really hard to game plan.
I can't see him playing both games.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially going into the All-Star break.
If he doesn't play on Friday, does he play on Saturday?
Yeah.
We shall see.
Mike, I hope you have tickets to both games because if you want to see Luka, you probably got to be at both of those games. I mean, if you're Dallas, what game is more important to you?
Oh, they're all important.
They're the same.
They're all the Western Conference is so bunched right now. Every game is important. That Laker loss to Oklahoma City last night was incredibly important. All these games matter a lot.
So the Dallas Mavericks are currently 29-26. They're 3 games over 500.
Mike has a good point. Friday's game is more important because he's gluing himself to the floor on Friday.
Yeah.
Which means he might still be there on Saturday.
So they're Friday, Saturday, and then they play Monday and Wednesday. It's crazy to think that the Kings haven't played as many games as a lot of these teams. I was looking at the standings. There's some teams that have played 4 or 5 more games than the Sacramento Kings. And the Kings basically start their All-Star break on Tuesday after the game against the Phoenix Suns. A lot of games
they don't
are
play
on Wednesday
until
and Thursday.
Yeah.
So, definitely a good chance to get some rest for the Sacramento Kings.
Much needed.
Dallas
much needed.
2 games in Sacramento. Then they go to Minnesota. They go home to play Minnesota on Monday. And then Denver in Denver on their last day before the All-Star break.
Man, Denver is playing unbelievably well right now. That's going to be a tough game.
Yeah. What a win tonight against the Houston Rockets. All is well in Sacramento. Calvin, I think that pretty much wraps up the show today. You have any other thoughts? Anything else you want to mention?
Matt Hadley, happy birthday. Love you, man. I'll be calling you tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Matt Hadley. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful night. We'll see you all on Friday. In the meantime, go Kings.
Yes, Charles. I watched LeBron break the record. Pretty incredible moment.